Jake Palmer at Remax here. I'm going to give you my hot do-it-yourselfer tip of the week. I often have people call because they're getting ready to list their home and they want to know what type of updates they can do that are inexpensive but have a big effect on kind of the saleability of their home. And obviously a common area of focus is the kitchen. So a lot of people have the older flat panel kitchen cabinet doors that were popular from the 50s to the 70s. And this is a really easy way to update those. And so what we're going for is a shaker style cabinet door. So this was just, as you commonly see, straight flat plywood doors. And we're going for that shaker style square profile going around it. So the way we got here is we started with 1/4 inch MDF. You can use plywood, but MDF is a lot easier to paint. So it's 1/4 inch MDF, it's very thin. I cut this into 2-inch wide strips. So you cut a whole bunch of it. And then you glue it down onto the doors. I usually start on the top to bottom. Do the 2 sides first. And then once those are glued down, you just mark the center pieces, measure it, cut it, and then glue the center ones down. For an adhesive, I use this paneling adhesive. It's PL200 for drywall and paneling. I used to use a brad nailer, so little brads like that on when I did this previously, but really found that I didn't need to. The adhesive is really strong and it does a great job on this, and you have fewer holes to fill this way. So once this is all glued down, you want to cut your hardware holes. And so I'm going to give you another trick for that if you've got one that has 2 screws, so the wider stuff like this. If you go and measure and cut the individual holes each time on each door, you're bound to be off by even 1/4 inch now and then. And it makes it really hard to mount this stuff. And so I usually make a guide. So you take a little scrap, measure it, and get them perfectly aligned and drill those holes. And once you confirm that the screws go in really easily from behind, this is your guide piece. So you just hold this along the bottom of your door, line it up, and then on each one just mark those holes with a pencil. And then you know you've got 2 perfectly marked holes, you drill them, and it makes it a lot faster too. So I managed to get through all of these doors in about 15 minutes using that guide. And this overall project, all of these cabinet doors, took me about 2 hours from the time I had all the MDF strips or plywood strips cut to the time they're all glued on the panels. It was about 2 hours. I let them dry overnight, then drill for the hardware. And once you're done that, the next step is you want to prime these before you do anything else. Prime them, and then go around once the primer's on and look for any seams. So I'll just show you a couple here. Like that one, even with primer, you're probably going to see that gap there. If you're really fussy, there's a little one up here, and you want to fill those with DAP or polyfill or any type of filler. And then give it a light sand, and then you're ready for paint. It's a really inexpensive project. Like I said, it was about 2.5 hours. As I like to say, it was a 2-beer project. And it cost about $30, about $30 for the plywood here, and 2 tubes of glue. And then if you update your hardware, obviously that's going to be a little bit more. And I'm going to show you what the results are. I did this very project for my own kitchen. And as long as you forgive my mess, I'll show you what it turned out like. So I started with identical cabinet doors, just flat plywood. And these are the doors with the 2-inch strips glued down around them. And as you can see, it really turned out nicely. And you know what? Things don't have to be perfect. We have to remember that. Like I had little 1/8 of an inch gaps, and I filled it with DAP or with polyfill when I had them. And it turned out just fine. We don't have to be perfectionists, but it really had a big impact. And if you take the time while you're at it to update the hardware, then you can end up with a really nice looking kitchen. If you want to get really fancy, one thing that often looks nice on cabinets is a lower trim like this and an upper trim. And that can be really easy. I didn't get into fancy miter cuts. That's just MDF, 3/4 inch wide, 3/4 inch thick, 2 inches wide. And I just made like an L pattern. And as you can see, it really trims it off nicely, especially when you see the side profiles. And that's really easy stuff to do. So that's a little do-it-yourself tip for you. If you have any questions, you can give me a call at 506-650-0092 or shoot me an email at jake@jakepalmer.ca. Thanks for watching.